What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review the second album by dancehall singer Sean Paul. Basically this product is called Dutty Rock and it came out in the fall of 2002. So the thing about this particular product here is this was a huge deal throughout the MTV VH1 era, pitches like that. This is definitely one of the landscaping type products that kind of happened throughout the early 2000s. Some great type pitches, and especially for like a reggaeton album, it's one of the most explosive reggaeton albums across like the 2000s decade, I'd have to say. Now Sean Paul had a pretty predominant kind of 2000s decade between this hit album, which was pretty much like a classic in terms of dancehall type music, in terms of albums that had that particular appeal, with 5 singles off it, and all of them did pretty damn well. Most of these were top 30 singles, and if not further, just kind of within the pitch. But also the Trinity was kind of a big deal from 2005, and then the one after that, Imperial Blaze from 2009, was a pretty big deal as well for like the most part. So within those pitches, Sean Paul really dominated in like the 2000s and had a few hits from what I remember in like the 2010s as well. I think the concept of it, he did have like some ones that kind of, one was like a Tomahawk type album for like 2014. There's some pitches like that. He kind of capitalized later on like the EDM type sound. In the 2010s later on, he kind of capitalized on like the EDM type sound like Pitbull and some of those type folks. First those pitches kind of happened. He was kind of like a reggaeton fried version of Pitbull around that particular time. So good type of appeal. Basically the concept, just some good aspects kind of get here. This is pretty much like, I would have to say, for like the concept, considering that dancehall does not always typically kind of put out albums as far as those first going to happen, it's kind of within the pitch that this might as well be a classic. Now it is stuffed with songs within the pitch. The original version from 2002 and 2003 only had 20 songs, but this particular album version that's on Spotify and the new era type one from nowadays has like 21 songs. So there's an extra song on here that's called Baby Girls, for this pitch going to go, but look after it. For the most part, 13 out of 18 of these songs on here I recommend. Now there's 21 songs like I was saying, but the intro doesn't really count as a song because it's not really much of a song. And then the 2 remixes, one of which is the Espanol version of Punky, and the other one is like a remix of like Give Me the Lighter, one of those type singles with Busta Rhymes on there as far as this pitch kind of goes. So I'm not going to count those 2 songs, so narrowing it down to 18 songs out of 18, I wound up recommending 13. For the most part, that's pretty damn well in terms of the aspect of what happened. I feel like this album is pretty similar in quality to like Ludacris's Word of Mouth, where it has this album is similar in quality to like Ludacris's Word of Mouth. And nowadays, when I reviewed Word of Mouth back in 2022, I kind of said it was a little bit subpar minus the singles, but I had to say it probably has more hits than I thought. And it probably has more hits than I thought back then nowadays, but it's just within the pitch that this album kind of has some of that particular type fare. It just has maybe like a song or 2, maybe even 3, maybe more than it probably supremely kind of needs to. I mean, it basically nails these particular styles, and in terms of like revolutionizing kind of dancehall and making it more contemporary to like the VH1 MTV type sound, and just more aspects of like more commercial kind of vanilla television, apart from folks like Shaggy and Supercat and some of those type folks. I had to say this album particularly pulls it off well. Sean Paul is like the go-to guy for like reggaeton music in like the 2000s especially, so it's just a good type pitch, kind of get some of that just the appeal. This is basically like, I would probably say like the dancehall version of like an album like the Eminem Show or 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying. Eminem Show by Eminem, 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Trying, some of those type ones. This factory type one, when you think of the 2000s, when you think of dancehall, you should be thinking this album, just as far as this pitch kind of go. But it is just mildly overstuffed, so this album is not going to get like a 10 out of 10, but it is going to get a mostly high scores just within the pitch, just assuming like just to pay attention here, like if I had recommend 15 out of 18 songs, this album would have gotten a 10, so it's within the pitch. Just saying 13 out of 18 is going to be close to a 10, but it's just within the pitch. It's just kind of, it's a mostly classic considering what it did and just the concept of what was particularly going on. There weren't too many contemporary kind of dancehall albums within that relative pitch of disc. There weren't too many contemporary kind of dancehall albums kind of materializing things like the early 2000s, kind of similar like Beyonce and B2K and 50 Cent, Eminem, some of those type folks doing that for dancehall within the pitch around that particular time. There were some ones, like from what I remember, there's like some cat, like Beanie Man kind of had a pretty big album that was kind of similar to this one around 2004, but this album came out like a couple years before that. This is one of the ones. This is a banner album here. So just in the pitch, just being able to say within those aspects. So yeah, there were 5 singles off this particular album, which is some pretty big deals. Give Me the Light's a quality one. Obviously, all 5 of the singles I recommend, but just to say within these pitches, Give Me the Light's like a smoky and glared, kind of stoned as hell, kind of night malaise, kind of get here, consistent, hooky, kind of nightclub heater, kind of have within those aspects. So all of these have some mammoth hooks on here. A lot of these were just big deals, like MTV and places like that. MTV, VH1, some of those type fairs had these pretty much on like festive kind of rotation. Some of those type pitches, music videos were getting hella play. Some of those type appeals just with an aspect. This some classic type ones just kind of have within the aspect of this frenetic type of just dance jiving like a reggaeton type sense, where this is kind of like a pseudo hip hop type album, but it just has that reggaeton spice about it. It's just kind of aspect of just kind of having some of that urban spice and like a more kind of just summer fried kind of reggaeton, like a reggaeton kind of fried dancehall type pitch as far as this pitch kind of goes. A lot of these songs are pretty good smoke fest. Like this album's a real good smoker's toolkit to kind of get within those pitches. Just some hookah bar music pitches like that. A lot of good glare as hell. This where your eyes are gonna be red. Some of those type pitches. Just really appreciating the smokage, getting hell swishers and just like backwoods. Some of those type pitches, things like that. Spliffs. Some of those definite type appeals. Just a good aspect to have for some of that. And Gimme Lights, obviously one of those. And it's considered supposedly this song came out way back in 2001. So some good type pitches that not Paul Wall, but Sean Paul was kind of building some of that appeal as far as that kind of went. But just obvious hitter. Some this real vicious type ones. Get Busy is a hit single as well. This is probably this is like the most popular song according to Spotify. This is one that I think a lot of folks probably remember within the pitch. This has pretty much over 600 million plays on Spotify, so this is one of the spicier ones on here. I'd have to say it's like a classic kind of early 2000s neo reggaeton hitter. I'd have to say here, just live as hell, definitely super hooky, and a dance club send off. I'd have to say within those pitches, just red hot type songs. So basically, out of 2000s reggaetons, just within the pitch, being able to have that ferociousness, this really nails the appeal. Really has some just blitzing kind of aspect just within the pitch. So this one's a little bit more like compared to Give Me the Light, which was just kind of a glare type song for just more saunter and kind of ambience. This one's a little bit more actually shake your ass in a dance club and get some good women moving pitches like that as far as those first gonna happen with it. Just excellent type tones, real frenetic type one, just real jive of one. Probably the quickest song on here for the most part in terms of like the most radio appeal. Like Glue is the third single, and this is the most commercial. This is probably the one. This is like a more commercial and vanilla kind of neo dance hall hopper to kind of get here. It's like this probably has the most radio appeal, like the first three radio singles that I'd say, and it's just an overall nice one. It's like probably the most consumer friendly within the pitch, the one that probably has like I would say Get Busy is like a classic one in terms of like the freneticness, but this is probably the one that's just the most approachable in terms of like a more standard kind of factory type appeal, something where it just feels like maybe one of the most ones where you'd be able to understand. It feels like one of the ones where you probably be able to understand Sean Paul the most as far as this pitch can go. Not to say that you can, but it's just within pitch, just that reggaeton kind of tinge, just within the aspect. This is one that just has the most vanilla-ness towards it, within most like tapioca in terms of like this most commercial I'd have to say. And then but then I would also have to say that Baby Boy, the fourth single, is pretty good with that particular appeal as well. This is like a good dynamite combination with Beyonce around that particular time. Just poignant timing as to how those pitches kind of happen. Beyonce was putting out her debut album, and Sean Paul was kind of cresting off of his particular hits from late 2002. So it's kind of a pitch that the 2002 version of this album did not have this song on here. So obviously that doesn't matter nowadays. But back when this album first came out, this particular song was not on the album, but it became packaged with it. Baby Boy later on became packaged with it as like the particular albums or the particular song took off as far as this pitch can go. It's like a classic Beyonce and Sean Paul team up. I'd say here they definitely need to do more songs. I wonder if they could nail the same chemistry that they had back in 2003. I'd have to say it's like a spicy kind of beachside and outdoor summer heat fun. I'd have to say about this one, just some good concept, just an overall lit type song. So Beyonce keeps up with Sean Paul in this particular one. They both go pretty spiced within this particular album. Flair as far as this pitch can go. Just another litty type one. This has the same pace of Get Busy, just with a little bit more romantic. It's like a pretty nice one to go with Get Busy. Just has that more R&B type flavor towards it, but it's just an overall good dancehall type beat. That's kind of like a fusion of that. So it's just good aspects as far as those flares are going to happen. Sean Paul's basically 4 for 4 with these, I definitely would have to say. And then I'm Still in Love with You is another classic hitter as well as far as those flares going to happen with it. Now this is another stock one here, another heater that kind of showed up on the album. This was more of like a hit song from like 2004 as far as those pitches going to go. Well, after a year after this particular album kind of came out, it was just a good type pitch that Sean Paul was promoting this particular album from like mid 2002 all the way to like the summer or so 2004. This is one that got spins throughout those particular times. Just very late single, good pitch for that, and it's like a superb kind of night winding down, kind of late fifth single to kind of get here within those pitches. Summer Heartache definitely, and some Evening Fest kind of get within those tones. So it's just kind of a pitch like that typical reggaeton type fare, just within the aspect of more evening type. It's kind of the concept like some evening cookout and kind of smoke fest kind of commotion as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just late kind of, instead to say late kind of winding as far as those pitches kind of happen with the longness of it as far as those particular aspects will kind of go. It's a good pitch for some of that type of appeal, just within the consistency of it as far as those aspects kind of happen. Good nice reggaeton type joint for the bells as far as those pitches kind of go. Just real romantic fried type one kind of get within those aspects. Just some great Summer Heartache as far as those pitches kind of go. So good type of appeal. That's the concept about this particular album. So just to say within the pitch behind it, once again, me recommending say me recommending basically 13 out of 18 songs in this particular album. I wound up recommending basically me recommending 13 out of 18 songs in this album. I'm gonna give this album like an 8.5 out of 10 just within the pitch. I mean, for the most part, if it had been 14 out of 18, it would have been like a 9.25. So it's just within the pitch of just being like a true kind of full bound knockout. It's not to say that this album is not good, but it's just within the pitch. It just has maybe a song or two within like the dud factor, too many of them probably what it full bound kind of needed. But it's just within the pitch, like just being able to say the only 5 songs I don't recommend off this album would just be Top of the Game, Ganja Breed, International Affair, Jukin Punny. That's kind of a tricky one to figure out how to pronounce as far as this pitch can happen. And then Esa Loca as far as this pitch can go. So some of these, most of these are just kind of like floppish, kind of more dance club type bops within the pitch behind it. It's just to say concepts like Esa Loca is a nice one within a relative kind of consistent dance sense. It's the same thing with Jukin Punny as far as those pitches going to go. These are some further ones. Jukin Punny kind of really feels like one that you'd be torched as hell as far as those pitches going to go. Just a song like Give Me the Light. And like there's another one on here, like the new bonus song at the end, Baby Girl, some of those type of pitches, and some of those type ones. Songs like Bubble, I'd have to say some of those type of pitches within the aspect. This feels like a real glared type one, but it just doesn't nail the appeal. It's full bound. Some of these ones, like, alright, so I have to kind of come to like a split-second decision here as far as this pitch can happen. I can either break this review in half and kind of have more memory of it as far as this pitch can go, because Spotify seems to be not working right now. And I basically have to turn off the computer and separate this review into 2 parts, which I don't really feel like is full-bound kind of doing within those pitches. So I'm going to try to do this off of memory as far as this pitch is going to happen. YouTube is not working either. I was going to listen to the rest of this album on YouTube, but both, I don't know if what's going on with the internet. There's kind of a snowstorm going. I just questioned the concept of what's full bound kind of happening. It's just within pitch, the computer choosing to act out for whatever reason. I don't want to turn this computer off and then not be able to access like even the Wikipedia page I have open for Dutty Rock. So I'm just going to kind of go along with this as far as this pitch going to happen. So it's going to be kind of more off the rails here as far as this pitch going to go. But just to be able to say that like some of these type ones, Top of the Game, Ganja Breed, and International Affair, some of these type ones just feel like leftover dance type songs just within pitch as far as saying it's got. I mean, this album is a consistent context of like the dance floor type craze. This album is not short on like Social Nights that just like getting glitz and some of those type of appeals. This album is not short on songs towards getting towards the glitz and pitches like that as far as those first gonna happen with it. Just good type tones as far as that appeal kind of happens, and also just the concept of like being off the kind of being caked as hell and being off the Richter as far as being stoned just within the pitch behind. So it's just some good type appeals, but some of these type ones, despite the fact that they do have the social appeal stepping out and some of that Friday type appeal and this weekend sense like a summery type kind of reggaeton dancehall type sense. Not all of these connectives within those tones. So it's just in the pitch as far as saying that, but decided to say the vast majority of this album delivers, and there may be some folks that enjoy this album a lot further within the pitch. I mean, it's a good it's a good normal consensus to say that this is like a reggaeton classic, especially out of the 2000s, just within the pitch, that some folks might connect with some of these type ones. I didn't. A little bit more just within the full boundness. Not to say that these are horror songs, just kind of concept, they just feel like cookie cutter and just kind of more limp kind of dance hall type, club type jumps within the pitch behind it. Not all these kind of have that particular appeal, but it's just within the fair. So just getting towards some of these, like there's some ones on here that do have some immediate type sense. If you need more than the whopping 5 singles off this product, there's some ones on here like Shake That Thing and like My Name and Baby Girl, some of those type ones that feel like they could be further singles. But Shake That Thing is definitely a pretty nice one. This has relatively pretty close hook within the concept, in the context of being like a further hit single. It's like a stock kind of consistent dance club heat to kind of get here. It just feels like an able promo single. I'd have to say about this one, pounds like the radios as far as this pitch gonna happen. Just the radio singles. There's some good excellent type of appeal, real nice consistent type one. This further has the hit. This feels like a consistent type bop, similar to songs like Give Me the Light and Like Glue. Some of those type ones, just the same sort of hooky typeness just in the appeal. This feels like basically like a Sean Paul kind of buzz single as far as this pitch gonna go. Bubbles is a pretty nice one. This like a steamy kind of after hours feeling toasted kind of dance job kind of get here. Just Hella Stone, kind of Red Eyes, kind of Weekend Commotion. I'd say about this one, just an overall lit type one. So this one just has the aspect. There are some ones where you do get some drinkage in your system as well, just in the pitch. It's not like this is not like a full bound kind of carnivorous party like hell type project, but it does have like a lot of dance festivity. Like this whole album is caked just in dance numbers, but just within the pitch, when you actually want to get tore up within some of those type pitches, there are some ones on here like Bubbles, definitely like that. I'd probably say like Shout Street Respect is like that as well. Some of those type ones. Concrete's a pretty good one for some of those type pitches I'd have to say. Some good type tones for some of those type ones. Definitely Give Me the Light and Get Busy are some ones that have that frenetic type pace as well as far as those pitches kind of go. But Bubble is definitely one of those type ones that just feels like you're a little woozy just in the pitch. Good type tones. Can You Do the Work's a quality one within these pitches as well. It's like a vintage kind of 2000s reggaeton dance noise kind of get here. Feels like I'm Still in Love with You so far as those pitches kind of have, and just has a little bit more bounce. It's just like I'm Still in Love with You just has a little bit more dance bounce about it. Not quite as more relaxive and just more ballad-esque. Not necessarily ballad-esque, but just it like I'm Still in Love with You feels like a kind of down mid-tempo type. I'm Still in Love with You feels like a more romantic kind of mid-tempo type song within a relative type pitches. I'm Still in Love with You feels like a more romantic kind of mid-tempo type song within the pitch, just a little bit more melded type one, just a little bit more relaxed. But this one has a little bit more bounce towards it, just a factory kind of dancehall type hit to kind of get here. So Can You Do the Work just within the pitch, same sort of appeal, same sort of evening wooziness within the pitch with some good nice ones. Shout Street Respect's a pretty bitchin' one as well. It's like a warped as shit kind of hookah bar and smokish fun to kind of get here. Just get super crunk and some late crazy dance noise kind of get within those aspects. So this is a real slog type one just within the pitch. Goes pretty well with Bubble and Get Busy. Some of those type ones just within the pitch behind it. Definitely probably some smokage in your system, but just the concept maybe the concept of having to sit down a bit from dancing too heavily. Some pitches like that. Just hella tropical drinks in your system as far as those pitches kind of having some good hookah. Some of those type pitches I had to say. I say Concrete. Punky's a pretty nice one as well. It's like a summery kind of typical 2000s reggaeton sunshine frolic to kind of get within those aspects. Just like 2005 Rihanna, Vibes Cartel, some of those type folks that I'd say a good song to catch a few rays as far as those pitch kind of go. So this is just typical kind of sunshine. The actual aspect about this is a lot more of this is just more amidst like the evening. Like this has some evening outdoor dance type songs within the pitch, some outdoor dance fest, but also has a lot of night venue songs on here as far as those pitches. When you think of like typical kind of 2000s kind of reggaeton, like more like Bob Marley and Peter Tosh, some of those type folks, pitches like that, just more typical type fare, like Shaggy, like back in 1995, Bob Marley back in like the early 80s, late 70s, Peter Tosh in the 80s, some of those type pitches. Doesn't have a super ton of those, but this is just a retro type one for some of those aspects, good type appeal. There's some further dance numbers on here, like Concrete, My Name, and Baby Girl. My Name is like a particular, this has similar vibes to like Glue, I'd have to say. It's like, and Give Me the Light, I definitely feel like here this like a woozy kind of glared evening dance malaise kind of get within those aspects, and this one probably could have been a single just in the pitch. So it's just some good aspects here, and kind of starting to phase out within some of the type pitches of being able to remember some of these type ones. My Name, Concrete, and Baby Girl are some ones I don't remember as full bound, but these are all some relatively warped type ones I'd say within the pitch. These are just ones that kind of feel like album cuts, definitely not quite as much full bound pizzazz like the 5 singles within the pitch, but it just has the aspect as far as being able to say that it just has like some relative good appeal. Thing to pay attention to is Sean Paul has some good hooks on here, but these are just the pitches that they're just extra type songs within the pitch as far as saying that this has that consistent kind of dance craze. So it's just basically like getting like a factory kind of reggaeton type album within the pitch and just having some album cuts that are Sean Paul still, and it has the quality of having these, but it's just the concept of it just not as jolting within like the radio snap and appeal. But these are just some ones. I would say that My Name is a pretty close one that probably could have been within like a relative single type pitch. So there are some ones on here. Concrete's like a jivey off the fritz kind of electro reggaeton gem as far as those pitches can have, and just a basic vanilla kind of dance noise kind of get here, just further stock hit for the album as far as those pitches can go. So it's just some good type pitches. Don't really remember this is full bound, it's just in the pitch. Just understand the concept is probably nice. This is like another nice solid hitter here as far as those pitches will kind of have them with it. So songs like Concrete and My Name are just more dismantled type ones just within the pitch. These are just some nice ones to kind of feel pretty slurred out in this pitch like that, just appreciating like the wooziness factor and having to sit down a bit just from like a consistent kind of crazy night. Just some ones that we're probably going to be having some pretty thorough type head trips within the pitch behind it, just having a blitz type time for like some weekend type appeal and just some good summer fun, some good aspects. Then Baby Girl, the extra song on this particular product is worth getting like this new version of the product as far as those pitches can happen. This like a hella jolted and buzz kind of consistent dope dance glaze about this particular one. Feels like a ruffled day kind of dance venting song kind of get within those aspects. So it's just a pitch, kind of a bad hair day type song within the pitch, but still going out to dance close and pitches like that. Kind of bells on your mind as far as those pitches can go. Just kind of preoccupied within the pitch, but just has some good type of feel for that relative aspect. Probably like the opposite of a sense of like a song like Baby Boy, but similar in pitch like a song like I'm Still in Love with You, but just a little bit more kind of jarred up, and just similar in pitch to like a song like I'm Still in Love with You, but just a little bit more jarred up, and just within the aspect of having some hella head trip type flares within it. So it's just a real jolted and kind of off the frizz type song within the consistency of it, but just goes good. Baby Girl goes good with songs like Bubble and Concrete and My Name, some of those type pitches, good type aspects for having some good slurred out type fun within the aspect, just some good overall this festiveness, summer festiveness within the pitch behind it, summer fun within that. So yeah, this basic album This album gets like an 8.5 out of 10. The social score I'll probably give like a 9.752 out of 10. I feel like within the pitch, just all but on the cusp of being like a 10 out of 10 in terms of the aspects behind this. Nails these appeals. This is like a classic once again, kind of 2000s kind of reggaeton and dancehall type album. Just very banner within the pitch, very notable. It's probably one of the most notable. Like I was saying, there's not too many ones that can compete with this. Shaggy was kind of starting to phase out a little bit past like the early 2000s as far as those first going to happen. So it was Sean Paul who kind of took the crown. Just looking after it here. The whopping 5 singles that did a lot of damage. All of these were like top 30 type. All of these were top 30 within the pitch of their chart appeal. This had some lengthy promotion. Went from about the summer of 2002 to about the summer of 2004. So some excellent type appeals. He was there for a good crest of a while as far as this pitch can happen. Just had the aspect of having a lot of blitz and appeal. So it has the dance numbers, some weekend heat. Not too much makeshift on here, but just within the pitch that this is the relief. Once you're done with that, this is some excellent type of embrace from about 6 o'clock p.m. forward to about 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 in the morning as far as this pitch going to go. It's excellent type of appeal for that relative aspect. Just consistent kind of concepts between about May to about November as far as this pitch can happen. Just kind of getting some summers that just last all year as far as this pitch can go. So it's just good aspects. Real nice hot ticket reggaeton type album with the pitch. All but on the cusp. If it just had like trimmed like a couple of these relative duds on here, it probably would be a 10 out of 10 social. But for the most part, I'd say most folks, and I'd say in some senses, some folks might even say that this album would be a 10 out of 10. Just basically is within the concept in terms of the social score. But that's just the pitch behind it. So in terms of the future, like I'm not as full bound sure what Sean Paul's been up to. Like I said, I've paid attention to him. I've paid attention to Sean Paul up to about the mid 2010s when he dropped his 2014 album. But I don't know his full bound what he's been up to since then. I know I do follow him on Instagram. Some of those type of pitches. I know he has a number of these products that came out since then. But just looking at the pitch as far as those first gonna happen, there's definitely some more of these. I'm definitely gonna get to albums like the Trinity and Imperial Blaze and the Tomahawk one from 2012 and 2014. Some of those type of ones just within the pitch behind. So it's the excellent type one here, banner type album. Dance out of the 2000s, definitely highly recommendable and easy kind of social spark and pizzazz about it.